Hi students, Mr. C here in the wood shop. I'd like to talk to you today a little bit about cabinet making, and right now I have the parts in front of me to an upper cabinet to a kitchen. So let me just go ahead and start by describing to you the different parts that are to this cabinet, and I'll show you how to glue it together properly. And yes, you can do this with one person. Right here I have a book on specifically this separate cabinet with all the deadlines and all the components to this, the different dates and sign-off sheets for what the next step is in the process of building and constructing an upper cabinet with the doors as far as manufactured and hung properly. So these two pieces here are already been finished. And as you can see, they're made out of plywood. They have the 3 coats of finish on them right now, but they do not have the front edge glued on just yet. So that way you do not see the 3/4 inch plywood structure. So this piece right here is the backing. This piece right here is the bottom. Then we have the left and right sides to the cabinet. As you can see, this has a rabbet at the back, a rabbet at the top, and a dado down here from the bottom up of the cabinet. Then we have our indexing holes on here for the adjustable shelf. There's only one adjustable shelf on this particular cabinet. And actually, you can see in this one as well, this is the same exact thing, just the other side, right? So I have my bottle of glue, my wet towel, I have a tape measure, and then I have my top piece as well, okay? So what I want to do is I need to be really aware of how I go about gluing up the different parts to make sure I don't make a giant mess. That's the last thing you want to happen, is to have a big mess in the whole process. So what I like to do is I like to go ahead and get my parts all set. Now, if you see behind me, I have all my clamps that are necessary. I just didn't want to put them on the same surface so that way you can see exactly what's happening. I have 4 large clamps, 4 smaller clamps. The smaller clamps are 24 inch. The larger clamps, I think they're 48s, but I think you can get away with a 36, possibly, depending on the width of the cabinet. This cabinet is a 36 inch cabinet, upper cabinet. I don't think the 36 inch cabinet, the 36 inch clamps are quite big enough, so that's why I had to go to 48s, okay? So, I have my left and right side, my top and bottom. What I'm gonna do is, I'm gonna take my PVA glue, or yellow glue, and I'm gonna run just a small little bead on the back side of the rabbet. I'm gonna do the same thing on this piece here, which will be my bottom. And I'm gonna go ahead and just get a little bit of that glue spread out. I do not want to have a glue starved joint, so I want to make sure that all of the glue is across the whole surface, but not a significant amount where it ends up creating a huge mess. Just enough. And having a wet towel is always extremely handy to have before you start this process. Now you want to remember, once you start gluing, you have a limited amount of time to get everything clamped up. Okay? Now, on here, it's always kind of nice to run the glue bottle tip on the area that you're going to glue or put the adhesive on, so that way you don't create a mess on all your surfaces. Now this cabinet, these parts, have already been pre-finished on the interior, not the exterior. The exterior is going to receive a stain and then the clear top coat afterward, but I find that it's a lot easier to go ahead and finish the inside parts off. That way you get a nice, clean, flat surface to spray on And that way your finished product turns out a lot nicer than trying to basically spray 3 coats of finish on a cabinet that's already been constructed. It's a lot easier to spray something that's flat. So I like to always have myself or my students spray the whole cabinet in flat parts first if possible. So now I have all the glue in the spots clearly applied in the areas that are needed. Okay, so what I'm going to do, actually what I'm going to do here is I'm going to take this, set this up. I'm going to grab 2 of my long clamps. Now these are really nice clamps because they help keep things square. I'm not going to mention the manufacturer, but many of you are aware who this manufacturer is, just because of the color of the product, or the color of the clamp. Okay, so now I'm going to take this side, place this in here. Now you're going to want to make sure that your parts are flush. Okay? I'll pick up the camera in a minute here and show you exactly what I'm talking about. I'm going to close this up just a little bit. I'm not adding a whole bunch of pressure, but just a little bit. The different clamps here. Now I'm going to pop the backing in this rabbet, as you can see. Okay. The finished side on the inside, because that's what you're going to see on the inside of the cabinet. So that pops in there nice and neatly like that. I want to hold the backing in as well as holding the sides. Now, I'm going to show you a little trick with these clamps. If you take, let's go over here so you have a little more space so you can see. If I take this little piece off, like this, I can slide this out. Now this will allow for me to go ahead and place this just underneath, and then I can go ahead and slide this back on the other side. Tighten it up. But let me show you this real quick on this side. We'll go ahead. Yes, it's being a little bit of a bugger. Okay, I pulled that off. I can slide this off like this. Okay, let me just show you how this works. I'm just going to slide this so it comes out that side. Okay? Now I'm going to take this part of this clamp, flip this up, and I tighten this up a little bit. I don't need a whole bunch of pressure, just a couple pounds of pressure. Then I can go ahead and clip this back on, that way I'm not going to lose it. I'm going to go ahead, tighten these up just a little bit. You don't need a whole bunch of pressure. I'll clip that back on. Let me go ahead, clip this on. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you. I'm going to take my towel here and I'm going to show you exactly what happened here. Now you can see inside here we have a little bit of glue squeeze out, not a tremendous amount, but you can see how this cabinet went together real nice and clean.